I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about Thanksgiving. Not the holiday in November, but the giving of thanks all the time, all year round, every day. From an early age, our parents usually teach us to say thank you. When someone renders you a service or does something nice to you that they didn't have to do, you say thank you. And if that habit is deeply ingrained as you grow up, it becomes almost automatic. If someone holds a door for you or gives you a space in the line, you say thank you, thank you. Not only is acknowledgement of the gift of appreciation for the gift, but appreciation also for the giver of the gift. To acknowledge that they gave you a kindness that they didn't have to do, but they did it anyway. The Bible tells us to give thanks. All through the Bible it tells you to give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks. For God's many blessings, seen and unseen, known and unknown, happening all around us continuously. That breath I just took, thank you, Father, for allowing me to be able to take that breath. Because there was a lot of people who didn't get that next breath today. A lot of people didn't get to see a new day. Thank you, Father, for allowing me to see this day. Allowing me to see another year. There are so many things that we can be thankful for. And as your eyes and your heart becomes attuned to seeing God's blessings continuously around you, your heart will become more and more filled with thanksgiving and praise for his many mercies. Paul in 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, verses 1 through 5, talks about conditions and attitudes that people would adopt in the last days. And one of the most prominent ones was people becoming unthankful. So I'm here today encouraging us to become more thankful as the world becomes less thankful. Jesus tells a parable about 10 lepers. Now, leprosy was a bad disease. It was so bad that you had to cry out as you walked around, unclean, unclean, so that people would know to avoid you. You became socially ostracized. People did not want to associate with people who had leprosy. That's for sure. But Jesus associated with everybody, and he didn't ostracize anybody. So the 10 lepers come to him, and they asked him to be healed. And Jesus tells them to go show themselves to the priest. Now that was part of the Jewish ritual. You showed yourself to the priest and he examined you and he was the one who declared you clean. And if he declared you clean, then it was so. So the 10 lepers are on their way to go to see the priest, and a miraculous thing happens as they're on their way. Their skin starts changing from being leprous to being whole and clean. Beautiful skin all over again. And they go even more rejoicing as they go on their way. But one of them stops, and he turns around and goes back to Jesus and says, "Thank you, Master." And Jesus says, "Weren't there 10 of you? Where are the other 9? And he said they went on their way, rejoicing. And Jesus tells him, "Your faith has made you whole." All 10 lepers were cleansed of the disease, but only one was made whole. Sometimes we get what we want, but God knows what we need, which is even greater. That's a point for another day. But another interesting thing that Jesus points out is that the one who came back and said thank you was not a Jew. The other 9 were Jews. He was a Samaritan. And Jews did not associate with Samaritans. They were considered unclean. They were kind of racist against the Samaritans. And you can see that in another parable that Jesus tells about the Good Samaritan, the man who stopped to help the man who had been beaten and robbed. While the Jews walked by him, even though he was a Jew also. They walked by him. It was the outsider that stopped and helped the man. And that's the way Jesus defined who is our neighbor. The one who stops and helps. But anyway, in this particular parable, the one who comes back and says thank you is not the one you would think who would come back and say thank you, which is a good lesson to learn also. Don't be so quick to judge people based on external characteristics, because only God knows the heart. So give thanks at all times. Give thanks. Become whole. BlindTony1016 @gmail.com.